mind when you open it up to the audience, call on Mayor Crowder from the city of Chickamauga first.
Okay.
Well, he's the mayor of Rossville.
Hey, Mike. We'll get started, Mr. Chairman. Welcome, everyone. Good turnout here tonight. We're really glad to see everyone come out. As you know, this is the second public hearing we've had. We had one in Hutcheson County at the Hutcheson County Colonnade on Tuesday night. Good turnout, just like this one is. And we're going to have this one tonight, and we're going to have another one next Tuesday over in Dade County at the Dade County Administrative Building, Tuesday at 7 o'clock. I appreciate everyone coming. Let me make a few introductions. We have a lot of our board members here from Walker County. We got our chairman of our board, Corky Jewell. The vice chairman of the board from Walker County, Steve Ellis. Walker County board member, John Culpepper. Walker County board member, Eddie Upshaw. Also, we have Hutcheson County board member, Steve Cooper. Dade County board member, Evan Stone. Hutcheson County board member, Bill Cohen. And Hutcheson County board member, Jim Emerson. We really appreciate the board being here tonight. Thank you for your support. Also tonight, let me introduce Mayor Crowder from Chickamauga. I think he's in attendance. Thank you for coming, Mayor Crowder. And also Representative Steve Tarvin is here. Thank you for coming, Representative. We appreciate that. I really appreciate all the communities here. I appreciate all the employees that are here. Thank you so much. You know, Hutcheson is a hospital I obviously love, and most of the people in this room do. And you know, we're here tonight, obviously, because the federal judge in Rome, you know, called for us to have these hearings. But one thing important that we got from the federal judge's orders in both the hearings we had with him was what the paramount in the judge's mind is the health needs of this community. You know, it's not necessarily, I mean, the 900 jobs are important, but in paramount importance is the 900 jobs. That's what's important. And for us all to start thinking, if Hutcheson isn't there, what do we do? And I don't mean Hutcheson, I mean you as a family member. You got a family member, the hospital's not there on January 6th, what do? You got to be thinking that thought. I'm going to come back to that later. Is Commissioner Haskell, I think there's a planning committee meeting that'll be in a minute. I'm going to introduce her when she comes over. Let me introduce, back in June, the board signed a management contract with Dr. Mike Aiken. Let me introduce Dr. Aiken. Dr. Aiken has about a 30-year career in hospitals and health management. He and I have worked together in the past. Matter of fact, we ran North Park Hospital up in Hutcheson, Tennessee for almost 10 years, and now Memorial owns that now, but he and I were involved with several hospitals over the years, and he's a developer, healthcare consultant, et cetera, and also obviously also a medical doctor. I'd like to ask you, Dr. Aiken, if you want to come up and say a few words.
Thanks, Farrell. What a wonderful turnout. I really appreciate everyone being here. My time of involvement, it's only been, as Farrell said, since June, and I've had the opportunity to work very closely with this board. And it's easy to forget that if you really think about the new start for Hutcheson really began in June. And we're working very closely with this board, and this board is working very hard. And Farrell commented on what the federal judge ruled that can happen to the hospital in early January. And that's the foreclosure process that can occur, and that's real. And we're working very hard in management with the board to try to chart a course forward. And I wouldn't be here tonight, Farrell wouldn't be here tonight, the others wouldn't be here tonight, the board members, if we weren't dedicated to trying to see how we can do that. You have all of our words on that. It's hard because there have been years of mismanagement. That's really what it amounts to. And sometimes all of that gets lost in finger pointing or taking the certain things that get put up in bright lights that become information that can steer your mind away from really what everyone should focus on, that I'd ask everyone in the room to focus on. This is a very difficult, and there's several things. One, it's a very, very real difficult situation. Can't leave here tonight and think it isn't. Secondly, this current group that I've had the privilege of working with in management in this board for just 5 months, maybe the most worthy thing I've ever had the opportunity to be a part of. I got involved because of being a member of the Walker County family in many regards. And that's how I got to know Commissioner Hutcheson and Don Oliver. And it's easy when a mistake is made to have that go up in bright lights. But I've had the honor for nearly 10 years of being around those two people. And I can't tell you how much I respect the tremendous work habits, the tremendous dedication, the tremendous integrity and honesty of Commissioner Hutcheson and Don Oliver and what he does, not only as county attorney, but what he does as the attorney for the hospital authority. It's very valuable to me. I was around them 4 years ago when the commissioner and Don were not for going forward from what turned out to be one difficult, bad management situation to the next. And so as these things all become headlines or things you see in the paper or something you might see on television, please remember that what we're trying to do now, if given the chance, is to make Hutcheson the healthcare leader once again throughout Northwest Georgia. The reason it isn't is crummy management. So all the other things, please push them aside. And just know that the way forward is very difficult, but if there weren't a way forward, we wouldn't be here tonight. If you all didn't care, we wouldn't be here tonight. There are stories I heard in the first public hearing of people telling stories of how much the hospital meant to them. There were some folks that stood up and said, boy, I had trouble at the hospital. It was a problem for me. Stories were all over the place, but day in and day out, what we know is for 62 years, Hutcheson has been a beacon of light in healthcare for 3 counties. And you hear things all the time now that, well, you know, hospitals like that, it's in today's world, it's close. You know, it's just 10 miles to this facility. It's just 8 miles to that facility. But we heard story after story the other night about what seconds meant. And you'll hear, you could get thousands of people lined up that could tell those stories time and time and time again. And you hear stories that you'll see in the paper of this hospital's not needed again because in today's world, again, the proximity means you can get somewhere else quicker. If that's the case, and this hospital, Farrell and I used to be a part of at North Park, why don't they close it? It's just 3 or 4 miles from all these places they keep saying you can go to. Why is Erlanger going out to Gun Barrel Road and taking 100, 115 beds, whatever it is, transferring them? I'm assuming transferring them. I think, in fact, Greg Gentry's here, he can confirm it from Erlanger, that they're transferring these beds out to Gun Barrel Road. Why? It's just a few miles to Erlanger. The reason is it's a good business decision. They're smart to do it. They should do it. Memorial's at North Park for a reason. They should be there. It's competition. Bad management took away that leadership role at Hutcheson. And if we can work our way through these difficult days, and it's going to be hard, but if there is a way forward, then there's absolutely no reason, not for that Hutcheson survives, it thrives. If it can't thrive, we shouldn't be doing it. That's why I'm here. I don't have all the answers. I'm going to make plenty of mistakes. I'm going to be working with these folks, and we'll make mistakes. Others in the Hutcheson management family are in this room tonight. I'm sitting with Sandra, who's back there. She's going to make mistakes. But the intent and the objectives and the goals are good and they're worthy, and we're doing them for the right reasons. And again, here in this county, as I said at the start of this, what Commissioner Hutcheson and Don have done to help chart that way has been invaluable. It continues to be invaluable to me in the seat I'm in. So I am honored to be here tonight. I'm grateful to be a part of it. Thank you, Farrell, for giving me a minute to comment, and we'll just continue with the evening. I really appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Aiken. A point you just made, I want to make sure I make this point. The other night at Hutcheson County, a lot was made. The old board didn't do this, the old board didn't do that. Let me tell you, the board members I introduced tonight, that's not the old board. This is a new board. You know, what we're left with a predicament of solving a lot of the issues that we all inherited. Let me make sure we make that distinction. This is the new board. This is not the old board. Commissioner Haskell walked in. Let me introduce you. Recognize you, Commissioner. Thank you for being here. I came back to Hutcheson 2 years ago after I was there for 12 years right out of the University of Georgia, left in 1987, came back 2 years ago. One thing I can tell you without question, this hospital would not be open today if it hadn't been for all the things that Commissioner Haskell's done for us. So, she's stepped up to the plate for the hospital when nobody else would, and we all appreciate it, Commissioner. Thank you so much. And one thing about Don Oliver, Don, the hospital attorney, and also the Walker County attorney, let me assure you this. Don, I've seen Don work thousands of hours for this hospital. I've never seen a bill from him. We've never paid him a dime, but he works thousands of hours in his aged and dog years trying to help us save this hospital. So Don, we appreciate everything you do for us. Thank you. And you know, we want to talk about saving Hutcheson, and you know, let me say a couple things about before we get into the community needs, and let's discuss just real briefly our issues with Erlanger. What we're trying to do is avoid a foreclosure and get our day in court to explain to a jury trial what our issues are. We don't know who owes who money, but we know if you foreclose on the hospital before the trial, the horse is out of the barn. You know, long and short, Erlanger took over, and my friends from Erlanger, some of them are here. Erlanger took over in April 2011. They appraised the hospital at that time for $34 million. 2 years later, after managing it for 2 years, they appraised the hospital again, $23 million. Now, on top of that, out of that 23 we got left, they're telling us we owe them 20? Really? You know, my daddy used to tell me about new math. That's new math to me right there. You know, and we also talk about that $20 million loan. You know, Erlanger managed the whole thing at Hutcheson. Mr. Chairman, I don't think you approved those loans on a monthly basis. Erlanger did it all themselves. They were essentially moving money from one pocket to the other. And during their tenure at the hospital, we lost a third, maybe even half our value. Now, obviously, Erlanger's real confident where they stand right now, and I totally understand that. But let me assure you guys from Erlanger, and far more importantly, let me assure all the Hutcheson supporters, this is the first inning, and we plan to go 9. Let's talk about what's going to happen if Erlanger is successful and shuts us down on January 6th. You know, the judge is concerned about the community need, community health need, we all are. And like I said, I'm not talking about what happens to Farrell Hayes' job. I'm talking about what happens to you. You're living in, you're south of Lafayette or in Lafayette. You got a medical emergency in the middle of the night. What do you do? Because you need to be thinking that thought. It's like a fire escape plan on your house. You know, it's planning our way out before we have a fire. You know, you got an emergency. A member of your family has an emergency. What do? Well, depending on the severity, you call 911, obviously. It could be like me and one of my family members about 9 months ago. She went numb on her whole right side of her body. We don't know what to do. We've never called 911 in our lives. So we get in the car, we're driving along, things get a lot worse real quick. We stop at the nearest place we can stop at. And, you know, thank goodness it all worked out, but I tell you what, for about an hour, we didn't know. It was scary. So you're in Lafayette, you're driving, where do you go? To Dalton, Rome, Chattanooga? I mean, you got to think that thought. Because Hutcheson will not be there, right? The Lafayette Clinic won't be there. Chickamauga Clinic won't be there. The urgent care on the Parkway won't be there. So I urge each of you to be thinking that thought. If we're not there, if we're dark, and you got an emergency in your family, think about where you go. You know, it's 900 jobs. It's more importantly the health of the 155,000 citizens of these three counties. You know, that's what we're concerned about. So be thinking that thought. You know, our footprint at the hospital is we see 85,000 people roughly in our emergency room and our clinics. We see over 5,000 people in our cancer center a year, either radiation therapy or chemotherapy. Tonight we've got 116 patients in our Parkside nursing home. If we were closed on January 6th, we could probably find empty hospital beds in the Chattanooga area to take care of our hospital patients. But we couldn't find 116 nursing home beds within a 200-mile radius of here. They're not out there. So that's that footprint too. So, you know, that's our footprint, but really, I want you to think of more than that is your individual family. If you have an emergency on that day, what do you do? And be prepared for it. Now, what we thought we'd do is we'd like speakers to come up. If you got questions, if you got comments, if you want to make a speech, come right up here. We got a microphone set up. If you don't mind, we got a court reporter here because everything said is going to be put in front of the federal judge. When you come up and to speak, give us your name, please, so that we'll have it on the official record.
My name is Larry Hester. I'm a service officer with Veterans of Foreign Wars. I'm a Marine Corps veteran. I'm a combat wounded veteran, and I use the VA facility in Chattanooga. Antiquated, run down, very small. And I have been, as many of you know, for the last 2 to 3 years trying to get the Tennessee Valley healthcare system, which all of Dade, Catoosa, Walker, Whitfield, Chattooga, Murray County are serviced. We are assigned to the Tennessee Valley healthcare system. This system is to help the veterans of North Georgia. And they're fixed, Mr. Morales was down in September and told us finally that they're going to build a $20 million super clinic in 2020. Now, if there's any veterans in here, they know what to think about that. It'll never happen because they're going to spend $6 or $7 million now to upgrade this clinic that we're in now. They're putting plenty of psychologists over there, but they're not putting plenty of doctors. And that's what we need. You can't get medical care without going to Murfreesboro or Nashville. And then you go up there and they've got people up there that's not qualified to treat a dog out on the street. And it's been that way for too long, gentlemen. Everybody that's a veteran in here knows exactly what I'm talking about. They're scared of me up here at Chattanooga because they know I won't shut up. And anybody in here knows me knows that's true. But they're going to spend $20 million in 2015 to build a so-called super clinic. Why is it that we cannot get the VA to partner with Hutcheson Medical Center? Partner, that's the key word. The state line don't exist in a federal facility. It shouldn't. If it does, we need to do away with that state line and move our state line up on Martin Luther King Boulevard where it's supposed to be. We could use this hospital. I have been all over this country, and I've been to, I guess, 30-odd VA hospitals, not clinics, hospitals. And I guarantee you that this one right here in Fort Oglethorpe is as nice as any of them and better than 75 or 80% of them. That's what we need as veterans. That's what we need to do. We need, and I'm ready to go, as I told you before this meeting. If we can get an audience with Senator Isaacson and go to Washington, D.C. and see Mr. Bob McDonald, the new Secretary of Veterans Affairs, and present this to him being a businessman, surely he will have enough sense to realize that this is a win-win situation. Why build something when you've got something better than what you're going to build?
Totally agree.
Why take a chance of why should we take a chance of losing 900 to 1,000 jobs because of, well, what you said before? I don't want to say that, but I'm not going to say what I thought about that, because somebody, I'm an old truck driver, and I can figure better than that. You know, naught times naught's naught. Somebody made a mistake there, but what we need in the community is the patience. You've got room up there, it's been offered. All it's got to do is get before the right people in Washington, and I think they will seriously look at it, and I would hope that they would. You know, I'm all for it. I know you've said you're for it.
Absolutely.
And that's all I know to do, and I'll be glad to go up there because I can tell them firsthand what the veterans have to put up with.
Absolutely.
Because like I told you before this meeting, I'm waiting right now on two $1,000 prescriptions that I cannot get. It's too much money. It's all right that they poisoned me back in 1967, and I still will uphold that oath. I'll give my life for this country to this day. But I think this country owes every veteran that served.
Amen. You're exactly right.
You know, that's all I've got to say. But, you know, if we can get it arranged where we go, I'll drive you up there myself.
I'll be glad to ride with you. Mr. Hester, we have Senator Isaacson's liaison here. We would love to get a meeting in Washington with Senator Isaacson. So, you know, at Senator Isaacson's convenience, we would love to do that. Thank you for being here, too. Thank you, Mr.
sir.
Hester. Appreciate it.
Glad for the opportunity to speak and stand up for your community, folks. We need this hospital, and the veterans need this hospital. Thank you.
Thank you. If I can, I'd like to invite Mayor Crowder up, please.
I'm Ray Crowder, the mayor of Chickamauga, and I had a personal experience with Hutcheson, and I sure don't want it to close.
Thank you.
Get all my things straightened out. I got a bad hand. On behalf of the mayor and council of the city of Chickamauga, I'm writing this letter of support for the continuing operation of Hutcheson Medical Center. There is a true medical need in Chickamauga for a community hospital.
Ray, we cannot hear you.
Is this working? Can you now?
Yeah, that's better. Thank you, Mayor.
There is a true medical need in Chickamauga for a community hospital. If Hutcheson were to close, Chickamauga residents would be placed at tremendous risk in case of a medical emergency. When moments matter, in addition, we would lose our city's only clinic, Chickamauga Family Practice, which treats over 8,500 patients annually. Closing the hospital would also create a tremendous burden on our citizens, many who are seniors, by forcing them to drive to Chattanooga, Dalton, or Rome to go to the hospital for a routine physician visit. For this reason, we ask that Judge Murphy reconsider his decision regarding a January 6th foreclosure date, because closing Hutcheson would be devastating to the public interests of our citizens.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you so much. You make a good point about a Chickamauga clinic. Actually, I got a prescription from Dr. Ballinger yesterday, and speaking of community interest, community needs, I got a shingles shot yesterday. So I would encourage anybody over a certain age, about my age is 60, to get that shingles shot before you get shingles. Yes, sir.
My name is Jim Pope, and I'm a concerned citizen just like everybody else here tonight is. But I've got a question. I understand they're going to try to, Erlanger is going to try to foreclose in January. Is that correct?
January 6th, that's true.
January 6th. And I also understand the counties, and maybe Hutcheson has got a counter suit against Erlanger. Is that correct? For maybe $75 million or something like that?
Yes, sir, Mr. Pope. Hutcheson has a counterclaim against Erlanger for a substantial amount, right?
Well, I guess my question is, why doesn't the courts delay this and let it play out in the courts? Because if Erlanger forecloses in January, but later loses their lawsuit, isn't it going to increase the damages on Erlanger at a later date? Because our hospital's going to be closed by then.
That's my point exactly. That's our board's point exactly. The horse is out of the barn if a foreclosure happens before the trial.
Okay. Well, it seems to me like the amount of damages then would be gigantic. Not 75 million, but hundreds of millions. Well, I can't understand why Erlanger would even want to take that chance. Because when you go to court, you don't know what's going to happen. Like when a case goes to the Supreme Court, the best legal minds can try to guess what's going to happen, but sometimes they get surprised. And so, do you know why Erlanger is so in such a hurry to foreclose before it plays out in court?
Yeah, maybe they don't want the trial. Very possible. I can't speak for Erlanger, but it just seems to us it's getting the cart before the horse to foreclose on a property before everybody has their day in court. Mm-hmm. You know, if their argument's so good, they shouldn't be afraid to have it heard by a jury. So.
And the judge won't buy this argument that it should be delayed until it plays out in court?
Well, I can't speak for the judge, obviously, but there's a transcript of every word said tonight will be going to the judge. And, you know, like I said before, it's not over till it's over, and we're going to continue to battle this thing. So we're not giving up.
Okay, that's my question. I'm just confused why Erlanger would want to jump the gun so and do it so fast when they may have to get gigantic damages in the end if they should lose their case. But that's my question.
Thank you, Mr. Pope. That's very good points. My thoughts exactly.
Okay, I've never used one of these, so can you hear me?
We need your name, please.
My name is Rhonda Chandler.
Okay.
Okay, until 2.5 years ago, I had not been in a nursing facility since I was in high school. And 2.5 years ago, I had a family member who was put into a nursing home, and it was not Parkside. And then a year ago, I had one who was put into Parkside, so I got familiar with Parkside then. And it is a great nursing home. But I went there yesterday, and I have a petition that a lot of the residents signed. And it reads, "We, the residents of Parkside Nursing Home, respectfully request that Judge Harold Murphy reconsider his decision and stop the Erlanger foreclosure of Hutcheson." And I have to tell you, it was very touching. There's a lot of stories there. In fact, I have a lot of them. These people have no place to go. Most families live close by. I have Mrs. Sue Smith here tonight who doesn't want to speak, but on behalf of her sister Dorothy, who is legally blind and has been at Parkside for 3 years, she's her only caregiver outside of the nursing home, who goes and sees her and visits with her. And that's so important, so vital to these people. She can't travel long distances should her sister be moved far away. And it's story after story after story like that. This is their home. And with all the negative media, these people are scared to death. They're reading the paper, they're watching the news, they're wringing their hands, they're tearing up. They think that they're not going to have a place to live, and that actually is pretty cruel for it to be all over the media like that and to scare them. I don't know if any of you have ever dealt with anyone who's living in the nursing home, but a lot of the people there, you can't even change the room that they're in without really, really upsetting them and getting them out of kilter for 2 or 3 days, let alone change their location. It really does a number on them emotionally and takes several days to calm them back down. I have with me several of the Parkside residents here.
Great.
And I have a lot of stories that I'm going to give to you, and I have a lot of signatures that I'm going to give to you. And we're going to do what we can to get the ones who want to speak. And then if somebody wants to take these stories and record them, that would be great, if that's possible.
That's a great idea.
Is
Thank
that
you.
possible? Okay. So let me give you this. That's the petition.
That's great, thank you.
Okay. And then let's see how we can do this. And also, let's give a hand to the staff who volunteered to come with the residents, and also Rick Jones, who's driving the transit bus up there and picking them up and bringing them out here tonight. Who wants to go first, guys? Okay, Billy wants to go first. Tell us your story, Billy.
I'm Billy Swearing, I'm a resident of Parkside Nursing Home. I've been a resident there for 9 years. It's great. I love the nursing home. Well, mom and dad was there. I lost my mom and dad there about 13 years ago. I have nowhere to go. If something happens in Parkside, I have nowhere to go. I was born in Hutcheson Medical Center 58 years ago. There is nothing in this world wrong with Hutcheson Medical Center. They need to keep Hutcheson. Because if Hutcheson goes, I don't want to have Parkside. I mean, they're my family. I've got great friends there. I met this young lady sitting beside me last September. We got married this past May, and we're there at Parkside. Her brother, Daddy, is just like my mom and dad. I love them. They even remind me of my mom so much. They come and get me and her and take us places. I have a brother, 2 brothers. They come see me every once in a while. I've got a sister who lives in Nashville. She calls me every day. And I have nobody, hardly at all. I see this young lady and her mother and daddy. And I've got Parkside. I want Parkside to stay. I don't want to lose anybody. There's 109 residents of Parkside plus the employees. Please don't let Parkside go. Our Hutcheson. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Sheehan wants to talk to us now.
I have been in the medical field for 45 years and have worked closely with hospitals and nursing homes. I am a resident now at Parkside, I'm sorry. And we looked at a lot of nursing homes before I decided where I wanted to go. I've been in consulting in Indiana, in Mississippi, in Tennessee, and Alabama. This is the nicest nursing facility I have ever been in. It's staffed by the most wonderful staff, good people, devoted to all of us. And in the hospital, it's so handy. That's another reason my son wanted me to stay there, because I have an aneurysm in my heart that has been there 26 years, but I may move today or tomorrow. And the hospital's right there. So that is another reason I'm there. And I would hate to see it closes. It's a wonderful thing for the community. And I've made so many friends there. I hope you don't let them close it.
Thank you, man. I'm glad you're here tonight. Thank you.
Okay, we got Ms. Ellis who wants to talk now.
Bobby Ellis. I've been at Parkside for January will be 8 years now. And I don't want to close Parkside. I don't have a family nowhere near. I have a son in San Diego, a daughter in Tampa, Florida, a son in, right here in Port Oglethorpe. I never see, doesn't call, I don't have company. No one ever sets foot in my room. But Parkside is my home because I have friends. I have friends, I have God there. Amen. God is right there in Parkside. We go to another nursing home, we don't know he's going to be there. He'll be there, we don't know if we can find him. Parkside is a wonderful, wonderful place to live. I'd miss it, I couldn't go nowhere else, I don't have a place to go. Please, please do your best to keep me at Parkside.
Thank you, man.
Another thing that Ms. Ellis was telling me, Ms. Hedrick, they love the church services there at Parkside, and they love their entertainment. They bring entertainment in every week for different entertainment, and then of course they have games, their bingo, and I sat in on a game of, what was that? It was an auction. They get really serious with their auctions there. They pay $10 for a soda. Play money, really they do. So anyway, that's the story, along with the others that you have.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming tonight. I really appreciate it. I mean, that really hits my heart. This is real, isn't it? You know, it's not talk, it's real when you see stories like this. Mr. Pope made some very good comments. We asked, and you asked some questions really of Erlanger. We have a couple of Erlanger top officials here tonight, Greg Gentry, Jeff Woodard. Would you guys like to respond to Mr. Pope, Greg? Or?
I'll just make a couple of brief comments. Wouldn't mind taking the mic, but that may be inappropriate. This is Hutcheson's meeting. But just say I think this is an exceptional, I think, journey that we're traveling together. I think it's appropriate that Hutcheson has stepped forward in conducting these meetings so they can hear from the community, and so that we can come and be a participant in these meetings, and that we can listen, and that we can hear from the community also. So I appreciate everyone being here this evening. I appreciate Hutcheson's board and Farrell and others in conducting these 3 meetings over the course of this week and next week in Walker, Hutcheson, and Dade counties. And I'll just say hello and look forward to hearing from the remainder of you throughout the evening. Thank you, Farrell.
Greg, we appreciate you guys being here tonight. You described it as a journey. I'm missing something here. We have Sheriff Steve Wilson here. I'd like to invite him up. Is the sheriff here? I thought I saw the sheriff. Maybe I didn't. How about Chief Camp? Is he in the room? There you go. Hey, Chief.
Randy Camp, for those that don't know me, Fire Chief, Walker County Emergency Services. And of course, I guess I'm kind of singing to the choir, but mainly I wanted to speak to the judge who will make the decision whether Hutcheson is foreclosed on or not, and the impact that closing Hutcheson Medical Center would have to emergency services. Last year in 2013, we transported 5,758 patients to local hospitals. Out of that number, 2,961 went to Hutcheson Medical Center. So that's a lot of patients. Now, we do not run non-emergency transports. These are patients who call 911 and need ambulance on an emergency basis. These are not patients, and I wanted to clarify that, especially with the judge who's hearing this, is that these are not patients that just need to go for testing. We do not do that kind of transport in Walker County Emergency Services. So when you talk about where would 3,000 additional patients go to, and it would cripple, how it would cripple our emergency services. That kind of time frame. For instance, in Lafayette, you mentioned a minute ago, you didn't need to go to Lafayette, you call 911. Ambulance responds. We have about an 8-minute response time on average. If you live in the county, it could be 20 minutes, could be 5. Depends on your proximity from the ambulance to your residence. Once we arrive on the scene, then we need to assess the patient, stabilize, and prepare for transport. We're looking at somewhere between 10 and 12 minutes, depends on the seriousness of the call, and then proceed to the hospital. A lot of times we stop at Hutcheson. Yes, it's true, we take patients to Erlanger because the trauma or heart attack or stroke, there's not a cath lab at Hutcheson. So there's reasons why we transport on to other hospitals. But we do, on several occasions, stop at Hutcheson, and the ER doctors there, who are very efficient, stay up on the latest trends and standards and techniques, have helped us a lot of times stabilize the patient, get the pulse, respiration back, and then transport on to another hospital. I could provide with several stories, but I will give 2 that stand out in my mind. 2-year-old who drowned several months back. We arrived on the scene, no pulse, no breathing. We started advanced life support techniques, stopped at Hutcheson Medical Center. When the patient left to go to T.C. Thompson, had a pulse, heart rate, still unresponsive, but 3 days later, celebrated her 3rd birthday. Another patient just a few weeks ago, same thing, full arrest, stopped at the hospital, helped stabilize pulse, respiration, and back. We could continue to tell these stories, but this is a severe impact. I know Erlanger, Hutcheson, we all need money to operate, but I have to say that I really have concerns with another hospital, and I'm not trying to just slam dunk Erlanger, but I live in Catoosa County, but I'm a lifelong resident of North Georgia. I've used Hutcheson myself, and so is it money? It's more important than saving life. And I think that we need to work out I think personally, from my standpoint, and this is personal, and this is not a comment of Walker County, and I know I have this uniform on, but something should be worked out to keep Hutcheson there and keep it a viable place because it's very important to the community. But more than that, the impact to the taxpayers again. we estimate, and it's hard to put absolute response times on type of calls, but if we have to respond 3,000 patients almost and take them to Erlanger, Rome, Whitfield County, wherever they might have to go other than Hutcheson, then we're looking at longer response times. We estimate that our ambulances will be on the road an additional 14 hours per day, taking patients to other facilities. This is less ambulances that's available in Walker County for that. We do experience sometimes long wait times at other hospitals in the Chattanooga area. We've had, it's not an everyday occurrence, but we've had places where it's taken an hour to get a bed, transfer that patient from the stretcher to a bed. Sometimes it's 30 minutes, 45, sometimes it's really quick. So we anticipate longer wait times, and we just anticipate basically trying to get our ambulances back to Walker County where they can make a difference if you call 911. We feel that just looking at it from a response standpoint, that we would probably need to put 2 more ambulances in service to make up the difference of the 14 hours lag time. And again, these are estimations. You know, it's hard to get absolute figures, but it's from our response times and what we record now. I just like talking to my chief of medical staff. I had asked him to come up with some figures. So if we took someone to Rome, obviously it would be 44 minutes just on our normal response from the middle of Walker County to Rome. The reason I bring that up is because we all know how insurance companies are. You're in network, out of network, you pay less, pay more. So we feel like a lot of patients will seek other Georgia hospitals because of the insurance issues. So that's basically the statements I wanted to say tonight, that I think that Hutcheson is a facility that is greatly needed in our communities. It's needed for emergency response, but mainly in that, to take care of our citizens and save life. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Yeah, we do have a heart cath lab. We do diagnostic heart caths and not yet invasive heart caths, the stents and whatnot.
I just didn't want people to think we didn't have one.
Hello, I'm Michael Wilson. I'm an internist here. I've been here for about 23 years. My office is right up the road here. And I wanted to add to what Chief Camp had to say, that basically if the ambulances are on the road more, then you got to understand that the judge needs to understand that the logistics of that involve less time to respond to patients who are calling 911 here locally because they're spending more time on the road. And from a purely population, demographic, geographic standpoint, there's no way that the 3 major hospitals in Chattanooga can take care of the patients in this area consistently, because from time to time, several times a year, when we try to transfer a patient from Hutcheson, or I try to get a patient from my office to another hospital, that hospital is full to capacity. And that has happened several times in the year over the past 4 or 5 years at Park Ridge, Erlanger, and Memorial. So the reason Hutcheson needs to stay in business is to take care of the patients locally, because the hospital system in Chattanooga cannot handle the population in Chattanooga, in North Chattanooga, and in Northwest Georgia. That's just a simple fact. So that alone should forestall any foreclosure. That should keep the hospital open. And The other thing that, that I want to speak to is the unusual high incidence of atherosclerotic disease and lung disease in this area, and Chief Camp can attest to that, so that if you have a longer transport time from the patient's home to a hospital, more people are going to die. That's just an absolute fact. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Wilson. I would like to read a letter from the city of Rossville, I'm sorry. On behalf of the citizens of Rossville, I am writing this letter to express support for Hutcheson Medical Center and its continued operation for the citizens of Rossville. Not having a hospital in our community would mean our citizens would be forced to travel much longer distances for emergency medical care, and in any emergency, seconds matter and can mean the difference between life and death. Access to health care and physicians will be greatly impacted if Hutcheson were to close. The hospital has 10 outpatient clinics, 6 of which are in Catoosa County. Gone will be the Fuller Cancer Center too, which would mean that cancer patients will be forced to drive to Chattanooga or Dalton to seek weekly or even daily cancer care when they are their most sick. If the hospital were to close, where would the residents of Parkside Nursing Home be relocated? On any given day, there are over 100 residents living in the facility. Unfortunately, there are not 100 empty beds in our area which can accommodate them, meaning families will be forced to travel out of town to visit their relocated mother, father, or grandparent. Further, Hutcheson provides over $33 million annually in free medical care to our citizens who are without health insurance. Ensuring this care is part of Hutcheson's mission, and unlike most other not-for-profit hospitals in this country, they do it without local taxpayer assistance. Therefore, it is in the utmost public interest that Hutcheson remain open and continue to operate to serve the citizens of the city of Rossville. For the above reasons above, to close the hospital would be devastating to the residents of Rossville, Georgia. Signed, Mayor Teddy Harris, City of Rossville.
Ms. Ellis would like to speak again.
I have to say something one more time. I've never begged for anything in my life. I beg you for my home. Leave my home alone. I've always had to move all my life. I'm 81 years old, and I'm begging for a steady home now for the first time in my life. That goes back from childhood on to now. I need my home. Please, please, please tell Berlin to reconsider. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, I'm very glad you're here, and I can pledge to you, and I think I can speak for our board, myself, our management group, our board, we'll stop at nothing to stop this. We love Hutcheson. Hutcheson needs to be there, and if this public hearings have proved anything else the last 2 nights that we've had these hearings, is the real need for Hutcheson to be there. And I appreciate you being here, appreciate you coming out. Yes, sir.
I'm James Jones. I probably don't need this microphone, but I am a retired firefighter out of Chattanooga, Tennessee. 28 years with Chattanooga Fire Department, and I retired as a commander. And the last 6 years and over, I've worked at Hutcheson's Medical Center. And as of this day, I don't work there no more. I resigned. But the reason I resigned is not because I don't love Hutcheson's Medical Center. I resigned because the job I done was security, okay? It's a tough job, and it's a dangerous job, and Hutcheson's did not have able to provide, and I don't mean nothing bad against none of these guys, most of them know me or seen me around. They didn't have the stuff to provide security with what we need because of the funds. And you know, and that's sad. We got to have security. no matter what we do these days. I resigned because I am retired. I'm blessed. You know, I'm already retired from a job, and I love my job at Hutcheson. And I love working there. But what I love most about Hutcheson is the people that work there. All these people that are talking about, even these guys that's up here we see in there all the time. It's unreal. Y'all wouldn't believe it. If y'all been in there, you'll find out when you go to Hutcheson's, you're going to get the care that you need. They're nice to you. The nurses are professional. I mean, everybody from engineering, these guys over here, environmental services. I mean, when you go into Hutcheson's, you know that you're walking into a hospital where people care. And you know what? That means a lot. But I said that to say this. In 6 years that I've been at Hutcheson's, I have seen professional people, boom, leave. Other ones come in, and these leave. And it made me sick. I mean, it just made me sick to think that if you're a nurse or whatever you do, you're called to do that in your life, and it's going to show, you know, whether you're called or whether you're not. This little lady right here has been volunteering for years, and I have such a good time with her up there. But you know, that's her calling right now, what she does. The volunteers that they use, and each person that they use. And it saddens me to think that all these professional people, even these doctors like Dr. Wilson and the rest of them that's there now, they're in there now, and they're trying to help and do what their calling in life was. But what's happening at Hutcheson's, and I don't know this to be for sure, I don't know why it happens, I don't. But what's happening is these professional people are leaving because they go into work a lot of times and the charge nurse or tell them, say, hey, you know, we can only work you 2 days this week because our business is down. And we can't work you more of this because we got to cut back. And they cut, and they cut, and Mr. Hayes and the rest of these guys I know have cut, and they cut to the bone everything that we've got at Hutcheson's. It's all been cut. But you know why? And I don't mean nothing against Erlanger, okay? Because I actually worked with Erlanger, Park Ridge, and all the hospitals in Chattanooga. All that was my district when I was in the fire department. I was an EMT. I worked on Chattanooga Fire Department ambulance for 3 years. So I know about them hospitals. But I do know this about Hutcheson. Hutcheson is a great hospital. And I'm going to tell you, the people that's there are professionals, or they wouldn't be there. They're there to do what their calling is. And it saddens me, Mr. Hayes, to see these people leaving Hutcheson because you know where they're going? They're professional people. They went to college, they got their school, these RNs and all these people that's working, even the guys in engineering. If it wasn't for them guys, that hospital wouldn't run. It's shut down. They keep it going. They know it. And what's happening is that they hear all this bad publicity and all this bad stuff has been going on ever since I've been there. Ever since I've been there, I've heard this about Erlanger. We got no money. We got none of this. But what a lot of the people around here don't understand is, if they did, they would be packing this whole parking lot out here with people if they just knew what I know about Hutcheson's Medical Center. I live in Walker County. I don't want to go to Erlanger. I don't want to go to Park Ridge just because somebody said years ago that Hutcheson is a bad hospital. It's a bad name. No, it's not. And that needs to be changed. But the only way it can change is all this bad publicity that we're getting now from Erlanger that's coming in here, that's suing Hutcheson to get their money back. I was there when they first came in. I went to the first meeting that they had, and this is what was said. And guess what? I don't have to worry about losing my job now. But what they said was this: we're going to come in there, and all these people, it's going to come through the ER. And we had this big forum meeting, and it's going to come through the ER. So y'all are going to be seeing all these new faces, all these new doctors, and you're going to be seeing all these new people. We want you to give them a high five and make them welcome here, because we're coming in here and we're bringing all these new doctors in. Well, guess what? I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Erlanger. It did not happen. And I just want that to be known, and I just want it to be said. And if the people of Walker County, Catoosa County, and Dade County only knew what they'd take a chance to lose, and like the chief said over here, is that response time and all this. And if you go in there, I'm going to tell you this one last story, Mr. Hayes, before I quit. I was working in the ER, and a little lady come in there in a van, and he walked in there real quick, and my job was to, I go out there, it really wasn't mine, but I assist, because we're cut to the bone at Hutcheson's. I mean, you go in there and everybody just getting it, you know, we're just cut. So I went in, and I ran out there, and these people were hollering. I said, she's hurt, you know, she's really hurt. And this lady was, I think, in her 70s. And through my experience of what I know, you know, she was laying in the back seat of a van. So they reached over and started to grab her, and she screamed. And I knew right away. I looked at her feet, and I could tell what was wrong with her. I said, she's got a dislocated hip, because her foot was turned in. I knew she had a dislocated hip. So I called and got all these nurses out there and everything, and we moved that lady, and we put pillows under her to brace it where she could be more as comfortable as we could and everything. And we got her into the ER. You know, and we was doing everything we can. We had her settle down. They'd give her something for pain, had her settle down. Well, guess what? An hour later, we had to transfer that little lady from Hutcheson to Erlanger. And this is when Erlanger was in there. And the reason we had to transfer, because we didn't have nobody at Hutcheson's to come in to do the work that this lady needed. So here we were, we was like a rotating doors. Erlanger, and I'm sorry. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened to the deal about y'all coming in here and saying we're going to do this and we're going to do that. I don't know what happened. Something happened, but it's beyond about people like me, which is just an old retired fireman know, or even the people in the public know, that it's beyond our understanding of why what you said you were going to do and had us all built up. Man, we was walking this tall because of what Erlanger said they were going to do for Hutcheson. They changed the signs and they made it blue and they put Erlanger real big at Hutcheson's at the bottom. Man, we were excited. We thought, well, that bad name of Hutcheson is going to get away. We're going to be like Erlanger said. They're going to come in. They're going to do all this. It was like spinning tires on pavement. And I'm telling you, I was there. It's like spinning the tires. Nothing happened. They kept on promising, oh, we're going to do this and we're going to do that. It did not happen, people. And I'm telling you, I was there. I don't have to worry about losing my job. Like I said a while ago, right now I can say it. It did not happen. The reason I left Hutcheson ain't because I wanted to. I was PRN, worked part-time. We did not have what we needed to keep security going. And if you're wondering about why you come in there and they transfer you to Erlanger, or now maybe even Park Ridge, or whatever, it's because we don't have the stuff that we need to do it with. Because we're cut to the bone. And if these citizens out here in these 3 counties understand how severe that it is that we need Hutcheson's Medical Center, like I said, you wouldn't be able to get them off of 27 Highway. Because I know, I've been there, I've had a stent put in, I've had surgery done, and guess what? Every bit of it was done at Hutcheson's Medical Center. You know? And I'm proud of Hutcheson. And like I said, I'm standing up here for a lot of good people that work there, that are professional people, that the citizens here need to back up. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Let me recognize the chairman of the Day County Commission. Chairman Rumley is here with us tonight. Thank you for coming over, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate it. While we're waiting on the next speaker, let me mention one thing that came up the other night over in Hutcheson, and I haven't mentioned it yet, and that is the issue of these audits. Okay, and this is the old board, it's now the new board. As a matter of fact, the other night you might have heard Chairman Jewell said that some of the board members had to file an open record request on hospital management to get information out of the hospital. But for some reason, we opened in 1952, after 66 straight years of audits on time, in 2009, Mr. Stewart, who was the hospital CEO, refused to put the audit out. Now, obviously, we all know why he didn't. 2009 was a bad year, but you're not fooling nobody by not putting an audit out. Nobody thinks you're hiding good news, right? I mean, anyway, he didn't put 9 out. He didn't put 10 out. And by the time this new board got put in place, and I got there a couple years ago, we're 3 or 4 years behind on audits. And believe me, since last November, probably half my man hours, and I know more than half of the whole accounting department of Hutcheson have been spent on audits. We delivered 2009, 2010 they got finalized a week ago Friday. They got delivered to the Lookout Mountain Judicial Superior Court, and we're still working on 11, 12, and 13. But what we have done, though, this was misconception of a lot of folks. The audits haven't been out, but we've reported monthly financial statements to all 3 counties every month since all this happened. What hadn't been out is the official audit by the independent CPAs with an opinion on it. Says, in our opinion, these fairly present, that sort of thing. But we're working on that. 2 of the years are done, and we're not going to rest till all the years are done. Once we get caught up, we're going to stay caught up. It'll never get behind again. Matter of fact, if this board had been in place in 2009, we would never got behind to start with. I was there, like I said, in the 80s and 70s. It would be unthinkable to be delayed a day on an audit. It'd been unthinkable. And I don't know what whoever was there in 2009 was thinking. So I want to mention that. Just know that we're working on it. We're not going to stop till we get it all caught up.
My name is Orson Henderson. I'm a resident of Walker County. I pay taxes in this county. And my question to the new board, I think you say you were, is what are you all planning on doing so that 3 or 4 years from now, we won't be back down here again, listen to explanations as to why the hospital is bleeding. Now, I, like probably everybody in this room, have been in Hutcheson Hospital. I like the hospital. But whatever it was that happened, and my doctors couldn't come back to that hospital anymore, I had to go to Chattanooga. I want Hutcheson to stay in business. And I would like for you all to explain to us, what are you going to do to keep this from happening again?
I'm Corky Jewell, and I'm presently the chairman of the board of Hutcheson Medical Center Incorporated and Hutcheson Health Enterprises Incorporated. And I'm a member of the Hospital Authority of Walker, Dade, and Catoosa counties. The first thing we have to do, sir, is recruit physicians who will admit patients to our hospital. Because without physicians who admit, then there is no funding coming into the hospital so that we can continue operations. So that's one of the first things that we have to do, is make our hospital attractive. This was one of the provisions of the original management agreement, like the gentleman mentioned earlier, with our former managing entity, that they would bring physicians into the community and that those physicians' primary responsibility would be to admit patients into our hospital. After that, we have to continue a sound fiscal management position where that we keep our operations very close at hand, that we don't waste money, that we are capable of providing adequate and timely billing so that the insurance companies, the payors of your medical bills, get the billing when they're supposed to get it, and that it's accurate so that it can withstand an audit by the insurance company if that is the entity that's making sure that you're getting paid. I don't know if any of you are familiar with it, but we made the decision last year because the baby delivery service that we had, the women's clinic, was not very productive. It's a situation where we have to have it staffed 24/7, 365 by very skilled nurses and technicians. And because we did not have enough experience at that particular time of OB patients coming in, we had to make the decision to temporarily suspend that service. It's coming back. We're also going to open up our intensive care unit. Is it the neonatal, Farrell? Yes, sir. Opening the neonatal intensive care unit back up for at-risk babies so that the mothers and children can remain at the same facility instead of having to transfer the child out somewhere. so that we can do that. Now, these are very lucrative reimbursements from the federal government and from the insurance companies for those two activities. That's one small thing that we have to do. In addition to that, help me out here, Farrell.
The pediatric unit.
The pediatric unit is coming back. We're going to reopen that. Now, we realize we may not be able to do everything that they can do at T.C. Thompson or at Erlanger. Children's at Erlanger now, I believe. Is that how you do it, Jeffrey? All right, Children's at Erlanger. We might not be able to do everything that they can do, but we can at least keep a child and treat them appropriately at a local facility. And I feel like that being able to have a patient in an appropriate facility locally is a lot. It means a lot for the patient to get well. It means a lot for the family. And I can tell you stories of personal experience where I've had family members have to go to Atlanta or somewhere else for treatment. It runs a hardship on everybody involved. And they might not get the service that they feel like they're going to get down there, even though you're going to a named facility. But it is important that you get treated locally. How many of you know how to get to the emergency room at Erlanger? How many of you know how to get to the emergency room at Hamilton Medical Center in Dalton? How many of you know how to get to the emergency room at Floyd General Hospital in Rome? How about Fort Payne Hospital in Fort Payne, Alabama? Those are your four of your choices. Then you've got Memorial and Park Ridge. Then you've got, I don't believe they take emergency cases at Erlanger North anymore. They may, I don't know, but still, you're going to go to Red Bank to get that. Then you've got Gun Barrel, where you've got Erlanger East. Those are your choices when minutes count. That's what you're going to have to do if we're not able to maintain Hutcheson in place and provide the services that we need to. And that's just a few of the things. I can't lay out an entire plan for you in the time that we've got allotted, but those are some of the things that we're going to do, that we're trying to do, to make sure that we can continue to operate like we need to. What else? You want me to read the letter that I have here?
Sir, yes, sir. Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Now, one of the things that I'm privileged to do, in addition to being chairman of the operating board at Hutcheson, is I'm also a member of the Chickamauga City Schools Board of Education. We held our regularly scheduled Monday meeting this past Monday night, and at the end of the meeting, my board kicked me out so that they could take some action without me being a participant, to avoid any conflict of interest or undue influence. And I want to read you what came out of that meeting, and it's a letter dated November the 10th, 2014, to whom it may concern. I am writing to express the utmost support from the City of Chickamauga Board of Education, Superintendent, Administration, faculty, and staff for Hutcheson Medical Center in Fort Oglethorpe, Georgia. This institution has played a vital role in the Northwest Georgia area for the past 61 years, and it would be devastating to lose the services of the hospital and the associated physicians and family practice clinics in each community. We all have personal stories of positive experiences at Hutcheson, but from a school standpoint, I can truly say it is very comforting to have such a quality facility within close proximity to our school system. Unfortunately, if we are in need of medical services for staff or students, it is usually an emergency situation. Without Hutcheson Medical Center, we would have approximately an hour commute to the nearest hospital. There would be valuable time lost before treatment could be administered, and the patient would most definitely be placed at greater risk. From an economic standpoint, Hutcheson is one of the largest employers in the Northwest Georgia area, serving many small rural communities. Although the loss of services is a primary concern, the loss of jobs is for already struggling residents is also a subsequent concern. Hutcheson Medical Center is an excellent hospital with hardworking individuals who provide quality care. There is a tremendous need for the hospital, and it is our hope that every option be considered and all efforts be put forth to save our hospital. In the best interest of the residents in Catoosa, Walker, and Dade counties, we respectfully request the decision to foreclose on Hutcheson Medical Center be reversed. There is tremendous support and need for the facility, and with time and good management, this facility can and will be financially productive. With grateful appreciation for your assistance, it's signed by Melody B. Day, the superintendent of the Chickamauga City Schools, and also Grant Parrish, who is the vice chairman of that board, David Askew, a board member, Mr. Billy Neal Ellis, who is here in the audience with us, and also Miss Janet Landers, who's in the audience. And that's a letter of support from the Chickamauga City Schools Board of Education.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let me recognize a couple other elected officials that just came in. Chickamauga City Commissioner Everett Parrish is here. Thank you for joining us, sir. And also Walker County Sheriff Steve Wilson's here. Sheriff, you want to come up?
I appreciate the invitation. The Hutcheson Medical Center's importance to me is twofold. First, as a business, as a law enforcement agency. Currently, I don't really know the numbers, but we frequent the emergency room of Hutcheson Medical Center more than we would like to with inmate care or seeking inmate care. They're about 19, 20 miles up the road from the jail. They are our only source of medical care after hours. They're our only source of extensive diagnostic care during the daytime, during the day hours, working hours. The Walker County Jail and Hutcheson have been in partnerships now for about, roughly 61 years, I guess. I believe it's when inmates started going there. When Dr. Derrick, many of you will remember him, started sending inmates there back in the 1950s. It's very important, not only for the care, after-hour care, and for the diagnostic care and the emergency care of inmates. Without Hutcheson Medical Center, we would have to travel an additional 12 miles to Dalton, Georgia, to Hamilton Medical Center, or we would have to go to Floyd Medical Center in Rome, which is about 22 additional miles. Not only would that put a burden on our staff and extra cost to the sheriff's office, but it would delay treatment to the inmate, the prisoner that is needing that emergency care. Another aspect that we interact with the hospital is with mental health care. We interact on many occasions with residents or transients who are in desperate need of mental health care. And where do we go with those? We seek out and take them to Hutcheson Medical Center for immediate evaluation, for evaluation of the mental health issue, and then they are either sent home with a plan or they are transferred to other facilities. Again, with the closure of the state mental health facility in Rome, Georgia, back a year and a half ago, this is our closest facility. Even though it's not an emergency, technically emergency receiving facility for mental health, they do accept our mental health patients that we encounter, and they are evaluated by an independent party, and then a determination is made to where they go. Again, the same scenario. If that hospital were to close, if it were to be foreclosed on, it would force us again to go to Dalton, Georgia, or either down to Rome. You say, well, why can't you just go across to Memorial, Park Ridge, Erlanger? Well, that's not easily done when you're dealing with prisoner transports going across state lines. There's extraditions involved and taking prisoners across state lines. So, except in very rare circumstances do we want to take an inmate that's in custody across into Tennessee for care. So we would prefer to always have a facility like Hutcheson readily available here. Part of the hospital is in Walker County. So we have a vested interest in it, Walker Countyans do. Not only that, but they employ and treat the people in our community. And lastly, and I'll give the mic to someone else, from a personal standpoint, 5 years ago this month, or really last month, I took on a personal health battle and went through cancer treatments and did a lot of outpatient care, outpatient testing, and just a lot of things from a personal standpoint. And I just want to say that the Fuller Cancer Center, Hutcheson Outpatient, Battlefield Imaging, who was at that time, I believe, associated with Hutcheson, I've always felt like an individual when I would go for treatment at these facilities. I've been all over, not all over the country, but I've been all over the South when I was going through my treatment. And many times I'd find that I felt like I was just another number coming through. But with the people that I encountered, the nurses, the doctors, I've always had that personal touch. And you may say, well, it's because you're the sheriff and they know who you are. That's very possible, but they never let me know that. I felt like I was just I felt personal. I felt like I knew them. Instead of being a number, I was an individual. And that means a lot when you're going through a serious illness. And for that, I just wanted to give them a shout out for the great job that they do. That's all I have to say. Those are two areas that I wanted to focus on. And I think both of them are very important in healthcare. One is very important to me as a sheriff as far as getting inmates to a hospital quickly, being able to guard them here close instead of going to Rome or Dalton to guard them, and and to give them the quickest care possible, just like we would want that same type of care. Thank you for allowing me to speak, and I appreciate it.
Thank you, Sheriff. Appreciate it. We've been here about an hour and a half. I would like to invite Denny Weitzel up. Oh, yeah. Hold on a second, Denny. Go right ahead, young lads.
Sorry about that. We were leaving earlier, and I was telling him what we were actually here for, and he said that he wanted to come back. So.
I'm 8 years old. Earlier, please don't shut down our hospital.
Amen, young man. Before we close, I'll say one thing. I was asked the other night in Hutcheson County, what can we do to help you? And I said, please pray for Hutcheson. Now, I noticed that what I said was on the headlines of Chattanoogan.com, and I'm glad to see it there. A lady followed up after I said that and said, we need more than prayers. And I said, I'm thinking to myself, respectfully, ma'am, that's enough.
Thanks, Bill. There is another side to this, and that's the spiritual side. The Lord is in control. So if we're finished, if you would stand with me and those of you that would like to pray, and then we would be dismissed.
Yes, sir.
Father, I thank you so much for today. And Father, as I always say, here we are again. We're asking for your help. Father, we need you. All of the financial folks involved, all the principals involved on both sides of this, Father, we need you. We need your spiritual guidance and wisdom. Father, you are the great and the only creator. Father, you are the one that can issue a solution to this problem. Father, we come to you now with the counties involved and the principals involved. Father, we need your input. Father, we need your solution. Thank you for what you've already done for us. Father, you put Hutcheson here and you can keep it here. In Christ's name I pray, amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks to everyone for coming. I really appreciate it. Yes, ma'am.
5 years ago, I was diagnosed with cancer. And Dr. Steve Wilson, he was the doctor that found my cancer. And Hutcheson has been my lifeline for 2.5 years. It's a community hospital. It's been somebody that's sick all the time. Every home that had to go out all the way up to Tennessee. And I love Hutcheson. I had my kids there, grandkids. And please, everybody just think about the people that go through cancer and stuff and have problems something that we can't help. But I praise Dr. Wilson for being such a good doctor.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Thanks to everyone. Please drive safely going home. Thank you.